I've never seen so many people that have had such massive weight loss, 80, 100, 120 pounds, that look completely hollowed out and emaciated, that look much older, but are so much happier. It's just incredible. So, and why is that? Because when we lose fat, we lose it where we don't want it. We lose it in the face before we lose the belly fat and the visceral fat. But it's definitely becoming very interesting in my practice because people realize with sagging skin, the fullness of your face from fat almost acts as a tissue expander. When you lose all that volume, you have laxity to your skin. So what do you do with that skin? You could try to tighten it with devices. We have several. And I'm always really honest. If you have real lax skin, those devices will not work for you. And I own them. So they're good for helping minor things in younger patients. But if you have a lot of laxity, it's skin excision and then adding volume back. And it's interesting because even when someone has lost a lot of weight on GLP-1s, they typically have residual fat pockets. So you probably notice someone takes an unflattering picture from the side or something. There's always an angle where you have a little bit of a wrinkle or something. As we age, we all kind
Yes.
of age the same way.
This to me is very scary, is bone loss. Have you seen that yourself with the weight loss with the GLPs? Because of course there is a large connection between muscle and bone. And then I'm just going to mention on a personal note that this absolutely does not have to happen. And this is what I do in my practice because I measure people's body composition. And I've worked with as much as 80-year-olds that have lost 30, 40 pounds that look fantastic because why? They have kept the muscle in their face, you know,
Well, let me
and
ask you
fat.
because obviously the more muscle pulls on bone, the stronger the bone is, the more the bone
Yeah.
doesn't atrophy. But so what do you do to maintain muscle strength in the face?
Me personally,
Or
nothing.
what
I
do you
just
recommend? What do you recommend to
no.
clients? You said you
Oh,
maintain facial
oh, well,
musculature.
well,
Are you
yes,
doing
we
like
no, I'm
muscular
not doing any
exercises?
exercises, but just exercising the entire body. I
Mhm.
mean, when you do like high intensity interval training, we know now that it is a endocrine organ and it produces these messengers called myokines. It goes to every muscle in your body saying
Mhm.
we need more. So I am measuring very carefully that people are maintaining their muscle, which a lot of times is realistic, and losing fat and where they're losing it. So that is something that can be measured on the whole body, which definitely goes along with the face. Because just like you said, unfortunately, when you lose fat, it's not just from your belly or places that you would like to lose it, sadly. It comes from the face down, and
Yeah.
people are looking. I just saying that I don't think it has to have that result.
But it's not just your long bones, your skeletons shrink so actually over time. So we now know that, with CT scan studies and looking at cadaver studies, that our zygoma, the bone out here, the maxilla and the mandible, these all retrude. They get smaller while the frontal bone grows. There's almost this clockwise rotation of the skeleton where this gets bigger and this gets small. So it kind of rotates this way. That's why volume is so important. I mean, listen, we didn't understand any of this. There's something called the D's of aging. There is deflation. We start as a grape, we end as a raisin. There is skin deterioration, and
You
then
do?
and then there's descent. And my dad used to say, "Oh, it's gravity. Everything just falls, right? It falls." But he was right partially. But this guy Val Ambrose, who's out of Newport Beach, an older plastic surgeon, semi-retired, said it's more than just descent; it's deflation. We start, fall and we end crinkled up, and he's right. So adding volume back is important, and we weren't doing that in the past. So adding volume back conservatively, we've had these pendular shifts, Bonnie. Whenever someone says something, you take it to an extreme, right? So, we volume, well, lots of volume, right? So people are adding too much fat, and now we see the ramifications of that. So conservative is important, but there's no doubt we lose bone volume. The muscles become more tonic in the face because they are more tense over time. The wrinkles set in deeper on those folks. So there's a lot of changes that we could augment when we do a lift, as opposed to stretching skin over a shrunken skeleton. We selectively, if need be, add fat back to certain areas like lateral cheek and chin. And why is that? Because if you think about it, what's the most desirable facial shape in a female, would you say?
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing like the heart-shaped face,
Perfect. You knew
right?
it. It's heart. Yeah, everyone
Oh,
loves the
so
heart shape.
okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
knew it. So the heart shape is basically an inverted triangle, cheeks to chin. So adding cheek and chin, inverted triangle heart. So when we recreate these visuals, we're just basically trying to recreate youth. And that's, sometimes where people go wrong. They try to set the clock back to something that wasn't ever there. You don't want someone to look different. You want them to look like a younger version of themselves. You want them to look natural. And sometimes we try to modify things too much that things look odd or different. So subtleties are important, but volume, as you're alluding to, is important. And then, yes, I mean, I agree. Anytime that you can augment the musculature, absolutely. And unfortunately, in the face, it's difficult, but it's kind of where deep plane facelifts have come in. You've heard about deep plane. Um,
Sure.
I got to tell you, I've been doing this for, over 30 years, 30 years of it here. No one used to come in and say, hey, what kind of facelift do you do? What kind of eye tuck do you do? Certainly when my dad was practicing, they didn't ask any questions. He just told them it was, I'm going to do this. And I think that's a bad model. But now people, go to University of Chat GPT or University of Facebook, and they learn all
Yes.
these things. And a lot of it's misinformation. But when they come
So
in,
tell me, what is the biggest, if you would say, biggest misinformation that's on there? Because I definitely would say I rely on chat for a few things. What?
yeah, I think that, yeah, where do you start? First of all, people come up with these plans now. Oh, it's really good that you told me, this is what you want to do because Chat GPT agrees with you, AI agrees with. Well, thank
Oh
you.
God.
I went to 11 years of school to have some computer agree with me, and it's kind of interesting. So I think there's good. There's also a lot of things that are just not true, particularly on Instagram, that really are dangerous.